Do you feel like you need to sort out the other problems in your life before you fix your sleep? This is something I hear every now and then from people who are going through insomnia. And interestingly enough, it usually comes down to two different things. They believe that they need to address other issues first before they can make an impact on their sleep, or they are afraid to adjust anything involving their sleep because they're afraid it's going to make their sleep worse. Let's get into it. For those of you new to the channel, my name is John. I'm an insomnia coach. I had chronic insomnia for over 7 years, and now I help other people overcome their own insomnia when medications, sleep hygiene, and CBTI don't. So the first reason why people might feel this way, again, is they believe they need to address other issues first before they can work on their sleep. This is pretty understandable. There are countless ways that sleep can be affected, and people with insomnia are all too aware of this. We get told that the reason why you can't sleep could be related to your childhood trauma, or maybe work stress, or your gut issues. This makes perfect, rational sense. So what we do as perfectly rational people is sit down and come up with a list. A list of things that can be impacting our sleep and causing our insomnia. Anything ranging from my diet, the coffee I drink, screen use, the mattress, grief from that thing 5 years ago, grief from that thing 4 years ago, pain, allergies, altitude, getting older, new hobbies. So now we have a list of about 5,378 things that we need to allegedly examine just in order for us to get our sleep back. Oh, and of course, it could be any combination of those 5,378 things. So, maybe the solution to our sleep could involve 2 of those variables, or 8 of those variables, or all 5,378 of those variables. So using combinatorics, that gives us about this many solutions to experiment with. Okay, let's get started. You see the point I'm making? It can give us the sense that we have a massive, massive list of things to do just in order for us to get our sleep back. When really the whole problem is the notion that we feel like we have to work on our sleep to begin with. Getting over insomnia is not really a project like starting a company or getting into shape or finishing our degree. It's something that we can do in parallel with any of those things. In fact, I don't even like to use the term in parallel because really getting over insomnia should involve less and less work, but for greater results. Sleep might be the one thing that gets better the less we work on it. So now let's get into the second issue more. And I think this is what's usually happening. People are afraid to adjust their sleep. This is what I think is really the crux of the issue here. When people say they have to work on other things to fix their sleep, usually I think what's going on is that they have a lot of things going on with their lives, and their sleep right now is currently okay-ish. It's not great, it's not even good, but it's also not bad. It's not the worst that they've gone through, but it's bearable right now. And because they've set up, they're under the impression that they have this really solid sleep routine that keeps them safe. They found a combination of things that work just fine for them, and they are afraid that if they mess with it a little bit, they're going to make it worse. They don't want to mess with this sleep house of cards. Because, hey, they've got important things going on in their lives. They've got a business to run. They've got kids to take care of. And when they do start to work on their insomnia, maybe by taking away some sleep efforts, then yes, it can be triggering. And it can cause a speed bump. Now, to be clear about the speed bumps typically do not last for a long time. There's one person I worked with who was afraid of weaning off their medication, and it's true that there could be a physiological cause for us to lose sleep if we stop taking a sleep-related medication, of course. But he was more so afraid that it was going to persist for weeks and months and years, and he was never going to be able to get back to his okay-ish sleep even if he went back on the medication. While there can certainly be a legitimate physiological lack of sleep when we wean ourselves off of a sleep medication, it's almost never the case that, and I'm not a medical professional, but I don't think I've ever heard of anyone suffering from a speed bump that that lasted for weeks or months or years because they weaned off of their medication. Any physiological based causes for their lack of sleep don't seem to last for nearly that long. At some point, they have to decide, am I fine with keeping the insomnia demon happy, usually at the expense of my sleep and at a lesser quality of life, or am I ready to tackle this problem directly? However, what I usually say is that when people decide to start working on their insomnia, it isn't because they've entered perfectly stable life circumstances. Almost no one has perfectly stable life circumstances. We all have things going on in our lives. They're still going about their life. Usually what happens is that they've unfortunately gone through a lot of pain and suffering involving their sleep, and they enter a particularly rough speed bump and they say, okay, enough is enough. I've got to do something to get rid of this. Ultimately, if I were to sum up this video, what I would say is this: you don't need an empty schedule to start addressing your insomnia in a healthier, more sustainable way. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please feel free to do the usual like, comment, subscribe stuff. Here at Insomnia to Peace, I provide coaching services to people looking to overcome their insomnia for good.